Could the Giants be eyeing this star infielder? And trades are happening, so why haven't they made a move yet? Let's talk about it right here on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Stiles. Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, thanks to great people like you, the #1 sports podcast network. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area, but I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show at Sacktown Sports 1140, as well as emceeing Sacramento River Cats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are discussing a simple winter roundup, moves that have been made so far. Jim Bowden connects this star second baseman and or shortstop to the San Francisco Giants. And last but not least, trades are happening. So why haven't the Giants made a move yet? Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. All right. So, of course, now I have said to you guys a couple times that we're doing this 3 times a week. So, going to start catching up at the beginning of the week with some winter roundups, anything that we may have missed based on when I do my last show of the week for the previous week. So this winter roundup is a little interesting, man, because the Giants made a couple moves, but at the initial time, we were told about those moves to go get some more pitching, Adrian Hauser and others. We did not necessarily know the coinciding moves because of where they're at with the roster number, that 40-man roster, who they were going to move off of because they added those players. So that news is out now, and it turns out that the Giants DFA'd Wade Meckler and familiar name Joey Wiemer, who, if you are thinking, Alan, didn't you just bring up Joey Wiemer a couple weeks ago? Yes, I did. So Joey Wiemer confined himself on the Giants AAA team in their minor league system. If nobody claims him, Wade Meckler, he's a guy that I'm very familiar with from his time in Sacramento, and he's really just somebody that is, I know I use this term a decent bit, but he really is a tweener. And I don't even know if he's a tweener because he's just a smaller player, a compact player. I think he might have got a home run at the end of the year, but for majority of the year, he did not have a home run. He is a guy who is a knock getter. He gets base knocks, kind of more old school. I mean, honestly, in the direction of where the Giants are headed, but where he's at right now, position-wise, they have him in center sometimes, and yeah, he just doesn't really have a spot to move. And a lot of people were mentioning Justin Dean. Why didn't they DFA Justin Dean instead? And you can look at the types of options that both guys have left. But, I mean, the reality is, from a defensive standpoint, Justin Dean is a better defender, I would say, and he steals more bases as well. So it's not terribly surprising, but Wade Meckler, kind of a fan favorite just because he's been around for a while. So, yeah, Wade Meckler has been DFA'd. And Joey Wiemer, I mean, a lot of people were saying this was a Farhan-type move from the Giants front office because we haven't seen Joey Wiemer yet, but maybe the Giants feel like they'll be able to hold on to him, assuming nobody claims him. So I wanted to let you know about those moves regarding the Giants. Munetaka Murakami gets a 2-year deal. Okay, now this was fascinating because his projections were all over the place. This is from Jeff Passan. While projections for Murakami to hit a financial jackpot preceded his free agency, concerns about his defense, he can play third or first base, and his propensity to swing and miss at pitches in the zone caused a slower market than anticipated ahead of his 5 p.m. Eastern Monday deadline to sign. Though teams tried to get in for lower dollar long-term deals, Murakami opted for a higher dollar short-term offering, allowing himself to prove his ability to adjust to superior MLB pitching. Should he do so, Murakami would hit the market again at age 27 and be primed to cash in on a mega deal, similar to how other free agents in recent seasons with softer than expected markets parlayed short-term contracts into long-term payday. So yeah, just for the comparison, The Athletic had him at 6 years, 160 million. Okay, so if you look at the different dollar amounts that were out there, that's nowhere near what Murakami got. And even those longer deals, that AAV, that annual salary, was going to be less than that. So he didn't really get close. And going back to what we talked about last week about the idea that this market might be a little bit different because that L word might be around the corner. I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. Down, lock, just say that reversed, because I just don't want the bad luck. You can tell, I'm very superstitious as a former baseball player. But not only that, just in general, teams, I don't know how much they're in the business these days, or maybe they're trying to get out of the business of these extremely long deals that simply do not age well. So I don't know that we are entering the age of the long-term deals going away, but in specific situations like this, where they don't really know what they're getting into, a team, you can't invest, right? And if you are going to invest, you're going to want a lower dollar amount. And that leads me right into something. And you know what? Look, man, I am enjoying getting a little bit of time back. Don't get me wrong. But it's funny because some of the things that I'm going to talk about, by the time I go to talk about them, are no longer in the same spot that they were when I initially think about it, right? And what do I mean by that? Well, 29-year-old star infielder from the KBO, Sung Moo Song, I had a whole write-up ready for him for the San Francisco Giants. Turns out he ended up signing with the Padres, 4 years, $15 million. Apparently, it's a very confusing deal. We don't need to get into the details because the Giants didn't sign him. But that's another guy where you look at that AAV. Now, he didn't have any of the type of hype that Murakami had, but you get somebody 4 years, $15 million, even if he doesn't necessarily pan out the way you would like, that's not a crazy investment and or commitment, especially when the Giants do seem to be in the business of looking for an infielder, and you see Jung-Hoo Lee, what he does as far as the bat to ball skills. And you look at other guys that have come over from the KBO and leagues just like that overseas, their bat to ball skills are typically legit. The power stuff is what you can question a little bit, but I was a bit surprised that we didn't hear anything about the Giants. I even had to do a deeper dive to find out more about this guy. And then I get crushed because I find out not only is he signed to a different team, he's going to the Padres. So I have no clue what he's going to be. He is already 29, but some of these names, as we get into the trades and others, some of these names floating around are not the most glamorous anyway. So the Giants could have got a pretty decent deal, in my opinion, to take a low risk, decent reward guy, but the San Diego Padres made that move, and that's how that one ends. So yeah, that's where things kind of are at right now, as far as the moves that have been made and some of the corresponding moves that the Giants have had to make because of who they've added. On the other side, Jim Bowden connects this star shortstop, who is now a star second baseman, to the San Francisco Giants. Let's talk about it. More Locked On Giants coming up. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump right into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. So there is an article from Jim Bowden on The Athletic that we've referenced a lot on this show. As Jim Bowden gave his projections, the projection that I just mentioned from Murakami, that's from Jim Bowden. So Jim Bowden is kind of spinning the block, as you can say, or taking a second look at where things now sit within the MLB offseason and things that have been said, what the reports are, and he has used that to create a new article. And in the new article, he basically says, this is what I think certain guys may do and where certain guys may end up. He says, MLB free agent matchmaking, the best homes for Kyle Tucker, Framber Valdez, and others. We are more than 3 months away from opening day, and teams are still hard at work to build their rosters. Several big free agents have signed new deals, but many more are still looking for their next contracts. As teams' 2026 rosters start to take shape, we have a clearer picture of how the remaining free agents would fit with each club. While we wait for the next wave of deals to come in, I thought it would be fun to play matchmaker for the top remaining free agents and rank their 3 best team fits. And then he gives us a reminder to his first article that, like I said, we reference all the time and kind of matches things up with where they are now. So before I get to who he mentions for the Giants, let me just say we're to the point now. Now, he doesn't do every free agent, but we're to the point now with the information that is coming out. He did not connect the Giants to any of the pitching left. Okay, he did not connect the Giants to Framber Valdez. He did not connect the Giants to Ranger Suarez. He did not connect the Giants to Tatsuya Imai. And if I'm remembering correctly, these were names where the Giants were initially connected to. He doesn't even connect the Giants to Zach Gallen. Okay, so he doesn't connect the Giants to any of the pitching. Chris Bassett, Michael King, any of these guys, right? So the Giants aren't connected to any names there when it comes to pitching, which is just so funny to me based on where this offseason started. And we all thought we were on the same page with what the Giants needed. So on the other side of it, his name or the Giants' name, it does pop up with one player he connects the Giants to. All right, out of all the players that he mentions, and it's not everyone, okay, but I'm scrolling through, I'm doing Control F, I'm thinking, all right, maybe I'm missing exactly where the Giants would fit here. Now, for the record, I'm looking at this now, and Murakami is connected to the Mariners, the Reds, and the Marlins. So nobody saw Murakami going to the White Sox, and maybe that's just a one-off. So he doesn't have them connected to any teams, but this isn't the end all be all. This is just Jim Bowden, who is very well known and well regarded throughout the baseball world. This is just his take on things based on what he's hearing, and just again having some playing matchmaker because there could be more going on. So the one team or the one player that he connects the Giants to is an infielder, Bo Bichette. Yes, once again, it is Bo Bichette, and this is the write-up. Bichette is only 27 and can play second base, shortstop, or third base. He's led the AL in hits twice already and is really focused, hardworking, and would become an instant fan favorite. He's talking specifically, he has the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Giants. He says in Boston, Fenway's Park, unusual dimensions with the green monster in left, the short porch in right would benefit Bichette, who uses the whole field well. The Red Sox could make him their everyday third or second baseman. If the Blue Jays don't sign Kyle Tucker, it is likely Bichette will return to Toronto, assuming he hasn't signed by the time Tucker does. I also think he'd be a huge get for the Giants. Though many teams view him as a second or third baseman, his favorite position to play is shortstop. His best fits for teams in need of a shortstop would be the Brewers, but it doesn't appear Milwaukee is looking for that big of an investment at this point. That's it, people. That's it. The only other time when I did Control F, the only other time the Giants came up was Yomiuri Giants from Kazuma Okamoto. That is the only other time the Giants came up. So Jim Bowden is just reacting, I think, at this point to what the Giants are putting out. By the way, Zach Manassian did another kind of media hit interview. I'm going to be honest with you. You can check it out for yourself. I saw it on the SF Chronicle, at least some of the quotes. There's nothing really to talk about. It's the same stuff. We're going to, look for different opportunities through trade, through free agency. Okay. Those are the two places you do it, as well as stuff internally. So I didn't necessarily make a segment out of it because there's nothing to say. We've been saying the same thing. They've been saying the same thing, and we're just all waiting. So there was no need to bring that up, but there is more stuff out there if you want to check it out because, it's Zach Manassian. It's somebody who is in the Giants front office, and he's talking about what they're planning on doing. He's just saying the same things he's been saying all season long. So, to me, Bo Bichette, I don't think he wants to move from shortstop. And that's the scary thing. And we talked about this last week. Is this because he's not getting the offers that he thought he would initially get? Seems pretty obvious to me, right? But the market, when you are a free agent, is so important. There's no reason, in my opinion, that Willy Adames should. I know Willy Adames power-wise, is really respectable, and Bo Bichette too, but and Bo Bichette led the AL in hits twice already. There's really no reason Willy Adames should be able to lock down his contract at shortstop specifically, and Bo Bichette have any options. I know there are questions defensively about Bo Bichette, but just on its face, getting somebody into the building, once you get moved, trust me, I know once you get moved from a position, it's really hard to get back, especially in this kind of I guess the good thing is this world of positionless baseball. Hey, Bo, you might be second base more often, but when our shortstop, who you're a better hitter than, needs a day off, whatever, you'll be our shortstop in that regard. That's just kind of how it works. But trust me, I got moved from center field my senior year, and I never got back. Now, the guy I got moved for, he did end up playing double-A ball. Okay, so shout out to him. But he was a couple years younger than me, and the coach just said, "Hey, Alan, we just want to see something. We just want to see something." Never went back to center field. So once you open yourself up to that, and I don't think Bo has any regrets, because I don't even have any regrets, and I'm not about to get paid millions and millions of dollars like Bo Bichette. But once you do open that can of worms, and we know we just dealt with it in a different way with Rafi Devers, and Rafi Devers moving to first, and does he want to move to first, and what's the situation there? So we know ourselves, but once you make that decision, like Rafi Devers might not ever go back to third base. And that's something, again, when you're getting paid this type of money, okay, fine, I'll play where you want me to play. But these guys, relatively speaking to other peers and other players, when you're giving up a position that you've played your whole life, it's not nothing, right? It is somewhat of a big deal. So, hey, I'll take Bo Bichette any day of the week. We do keep seeing the Giants connected to Brendan Donovan and other second basemen. So I don't know how much they actually believe in Casey Schmidt. It might be, well, if we have to go with Casey Schmidt, we'll do that. Maybe there's a little bit of PTSD from the Tyler Fitzgerald situation last season, but I think Casey Schmidt has been more consistent hitting the baseball than Tyler Fitzgerald, but you never know. Right? You never know. I know Tyler Fitzgerald had that ridiculous hot stretch a couple years back, and that kind of propelled him to that position to start at second base. But Casey Schmidt's been a little bit more steady Eddie to me. That's not to say the Giants can't improve. Again, I'm just going off of what the Giants have said. They've been saying a couple different things. I can't personally see the Giants making this huge of an investment in a second baseman. And I do think it matters if you're making that investment in Bo Bichette as a shortstop or a second baseman, even a third baseman for that matter. But, this is a name that does continue to come up, and clearly the Giants are pretty interested in a second baseman. That's what we are learning. I think the one thing, and everything is kind of on the table now, but it feels more likely that the Giants upgrade at the second base position than in the outfield. And I think I would have had that flip-flop going into the season, or I would have had neither, and they would have just paid for a pitcher, which they still could do. But they've continued to tell people, and the word out is that the Giants are not looking for a pitcher in that way. So that is what Jim Bowden had to say and who he connected the Giants to, the only player he connected the Giants to. Let's get to the last segment where we discuss some of the trades that have went down so far, what the price tags have been, and why the Giants haven't been in on any of these moves quite yet. More Locked On Giants coming up. We're in the midst of the basketball season, and there's nothing like being in the building. The crowd, the energy, the moments you can't get from watching on the couch. The only problem, getting tickets used to be a hassle with long queues, logins, and prices changing at checkout. That's why Game Time is such a game changer. It puts the advantage back in the fans' hands and makes scoring great NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I put up the Game Time app to check out upcoming NBA games. Look, the Sacramento Kings, they don't win often, but when they do, it's really fun to be in that building. What stood out immediately was how easy the app is to use. I could see deals, compare prices, and buy tickets in minutes. Seeing NBA tickets starting as low as $25 made it a no-brainer for a last-minute game night. Knowing the price includes all fees up front makes the whole experience way less stressful. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's Locked On, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Giants with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonsfgiants.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. If you're a true diehard Giants fan, the Everydayer All Access tier is built for you. You'll get one-on-one text access with me, all access episodes, an exclusive newsletter, and 15% discount to the Locked On merch store. Head to lockedonsfgiants.supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes. Last segment with you, and yeah, a lot of trades are going down. A lot of trades are happening, and I'm just curious why the Giants haven't made any yet. And obviously, they're going to take their time. That's some of the things that Zach Manassian and Buster Posey have told us. But I think the bigger takeaway here is that moves are happening, right? When we go through lulls, or Jim Bowden said, our next wave of free agents, we understand that the holidays are here. Some things are going to pause and some things are going to kind of catch back up in a week or so and things like that. But these trades are happening right now, right? They're literally happening right now. And honestly, the signings are too, but I'm trying to give the Giants the benefit of the doubt here, but a lot of moves are being made. So let's start with another team out here in Sacramento. The A's just traded for second baseman Jeff McNeil. He's 33 years old. He's had a couple all-star appearances in his career. He's a great bat-to-ball hitter, and they only had to give up a 17-year-old pitching prospect. Now, that kid might end up being the next Mariano Rivera, but the A's didn't have to give up much to get Jeff McNeil and shore up their second base. They've had some question marks with the Zach Gelofs and others, so they just say, let's go get somebody. Let's go get a vet. They're a very young team, so I think that's a great move for the A's, and everything is going to play up in that ballpark that they have. So Jeff McNeil, I think he had, 12 home runs last season or something like that. That probably plays up out here in Sacramento. So, yeah, I think that's a really good move, and they didn't have to give up much. And, there are a couple different details with who's paying what part of the contract. The Mets are still paying some of it. They wanted to move forward because the Mets added Marcus Semien. Right. So a couple wheeling and dealing moves there to kind of open up roster space and do different things there. Another move that was made, the Red Sox traded for Wilson Contreras, and they had to give up 3 pitching prospects. Okay. So the main thing I want to take away from the Red Sox trading for Wilson Contreras is, number one, the 3 pitching prospects. That's the price tag. And number 2, as we've talked about before, when it comes back to Brendan Donovan, the Cardinals are open for business. So the Cardinals are definitely open to say, hey, we're going to move forward from some of the players that we've had in the past and, kind of decide to go in a specific direction, maybe start this thing from scratch a little bit. They're a team that are always around. They can always kind of bring up young talent and cultivate a culture, things like that. But they're kind of taking their medicine a little bit and saying, hey, it's not it right now. It's not it. We're going to have to start over and see what we do there, or at least retool and try to get back in the mix here. So the Cardinals are open for business. And, if they're looking for pitching, if they're looking for position players, there are a lot of different avenues that the Giants can go to if they want to try to make something happen. So, those are some of the main takeaways and why the Giants haven't made a move yet. I mean, I don't specifically know, but there are a couple different options, and both of them might be waiting for price tags to drop. I would say it always feels like the price tag when it comes to prospects, they're not necessarily going to drop. It's a matter of whether you're needing to include current players and things like that, and the level of prospect, right? Nobody wants, I wouldn't say nobody, but if you're giving 3 prospects, but they're all at the bottom of your top 30 and they're 25, 26 years old, I don't know how many, unless they've had some MLB time, I don't know how desirable that is to a certain team, depending on what they want, right? If I'm describing Carson Wisenhunt or somebody like that, the team that you're working with, they might want somebody that's got a level of MLB experience, even if their ceiling is not as high as a 17-year-old, because they're looking to stay competitive or more competitive in the short term. It's really just based on what these teams want. So I think the Giants right now are trying to feel out what makes sense, who they're willing to give up. I was on with my guys from the Even Year Dynasty show, and they were discussing the Johnny Levels versus the Gavin Keelans. And it's really just, with Joshua Gonzalez, it's really just not pick your poison, pick your flavor, depending on what exactly you want to do and what exactly you want to accomplish with the move that you make from the other team. Now, I think the Giants are still trying to figure out who's going to be untouchable for them. And as we always say, nobody's untouchable, just based on what you're trying to get back and the options that you have and how much time and how much team control someone has. So I do think the Giants are feeling this whole thing out. I do. I think they are being as transparent as they can be. They're not going to sit there and tell you, yeah, we're looking to move Johnny Level for Brandon Donovan or somebody like that. They're not going to say that. I just think it's fascinating that we're to the point now where guys like Jim Bowden and other kind of big names within the industry just have no clue what the Giants are really going to do. Obviously, information is being put out there through different media outlets that the Giants are feeding to some. Others have different just sources in general. But, the idea now that they might be okay with their pitching staff. They might just add Scherzer and say that's good enough for us. We're just not going to spend that money and hope that the combination of Adrian Hauser, Scherzer, and the 4 or 5 possible starting pitchers they have. I did see Manassian talk about Adrian Hauser as a 5th starter. So do with that information what you will. He said an option at 5th starter. We didn't know if it would be 4th or 5th. He could still be the 4th, depending on how he performs. But I did see that in his quotes, just in case you were wondering. So, that's just kind of where this whole thing falls right now. And I do believe what they're trying to accomplish. I don't think they're just gonna say, hey, let's tell people we're doing stuff and we really don't plan on doing anything. I don't think that's the case, but it does get to a point where if you don't make any moves, then that's what people are going to believe, because they've spread the board so much. They can use that as a positive to say nobody knows what we're going to do, so we can attack here, here, and here. Or they're just sending everybody on a wild goose chase. And we're going to find that out sooner rather than later. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @_Styles Files, Styles with an I. Thank you for tuning into today's show. And make sure you subscribe and follow so you get all the latest episodes. If you need a last-minute holiday gift or someone keeps asking what you want, make it easy. Ask for the Everydayer Club, ad-free episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted through lockedonsfgiants.supercast.com. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.